Welcome to the week ahead. It is Saturday, May 3rd, 5:40 p.m., and I'm sitting here looking at this candlestick for April. Look at that thing. That's a crazy candle. Let me just, here, look at that naked candle. That is the craziest wick. Whoops. That is the craziest wick I think I've ever seen. Just wild. I don't think there's ever been a wick like that in the history of SPY. No, the closest is here, which I think is COVID back then in 2020. So that's a very impressive candle. And look at the volume on that candle too. Notice the volume on the way up here. Look at how fast we're going up, and look at the volume traded. Down, 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 down. Boom. Look at this drop. Again, look at the volume traded here on the CVID dump, right? Much, much higher volume than April. So I find the whole thing a little bit confusing. I did not actually think, I wasn't confident that candle was going to close that way. Well, that's not true. I think I was kind of confident because I was really looking for those daily higher lows, and I did put on some good trades that were successful catching daily higher lows. So I think technically it did make sense, but it just, I couldn't imagine before it happened looking at a candle like that on the monthly time frame on the S&P 500. But there it is. I'm looking at it. We're all looking at it. So what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to now shoot to all-time highs? I honestly hope not. But I do think that things are getting a little bit out of control. Just the same way that they got out of control on the downside, I think we're looking at the reverse of that. We're getting a little out of control to the upside. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, this is QQQ, and I've got a whole bunch of lines on here. They don't really matter too much for what I'm about to explain, but this is that daily higher low that I was trying to catch on a lot of names. I caught a daily higher low there on PLTR. Actually, it wasn't technically, let me talk about it. So on PLTR, on AVGO, and on QQQ. That's what I bought last week. And then we got a nice follow through on all three of those. And, it made a lot of sense for me to get involved in that trade because I felt strongly that, we had this daily stair step. And when we broke this daily stair step, I felt strongly that hourly oversold conditions was going to be the first place where bulls would really need to prove something once that daily stair step was broken. And I wanted to see the bulls step in and show us, some strength so that we could then believe that we are going to climb the wall of worry. And what happened was we sort of balanced into the after hours here on Tuesday night. And then on Wednesday morning, we started dropping hard. And I can't remember why that happened, but we were dropping hard, and we even opened and dropped really hard off the open and into hourly oversold conditions. And see this red line here is the price where hourly oversold conditions were reached. And hourly oversold conditions is, RSI 30 or below on the hourly time frame. And when we hit that, I bought. And I figured it was, in my mind, the best chance we had of catching a daily higher low. I bought it on a few different names. Some ended up being stronger than others, but all of them were strong. All of them were strong. And look at this rally that we had. We went from being way down here, from breaking the stair step on QQQ, way down here, touching the daily EMA 12, this blue line, to closing above the high of prior day on QQQ. Same thing happened on PLTR. Here was the drop. Look how much higher we put. What is it called when it's a mother bar, but it's on the right side? I thought the mother bar is on the left side, and then the inside bar. Anyway, we're on the other side. We completely encompassed the prior day of trading below and above, opening lower and then shooting straight up and up into the after hours on PLTR. That was an insanely strong move. And so technically it's not even a daily higher low. Yes, we did get a higher low than what happened down here, but we didn't get a higher high before getting that higher low. So it's not a true correct, it broke the stair step, but we didn't get a higher high followed by a higher low. We're just still searching for a higher high. And so, and the same is actually true on QQQ. Because this day was had a higher high than the prior day. So we really just had some sideways balance and then a move up, but it's not a correct daily higher low. Anyways, I don't want to harp on it too much. But that is the amount of strength that the bulls are showing here. It's way more impressive than I was anticipating. I was thinking of, when I talked about the wall of worry, I was imagining this really painful, slow climb where there's no moving average level that you can trust. Everything gets broken and then it comes back up and then they break it again. That to me is the wall of worry climb. This isn't that. This is straight up bull control. And so my, each week I talk about a simple statement. And last week, my simple statement was, as I'm trying to every day think about the market and what should I be thinking about? What should I do? My simple statement last week was, the first time we get hourly oversold conditions in the market and we break those daily stair steps, that's where we'll see if bulls are in control or not. And they showed us that they are. And now going into this coming week, my simple statement has got to be, now that we broke that 4-hour EMA 12, which was acting as support here in Qs over and over and over again, and then we've rallied straight out of that and we're continuing highs. Look, we tested 4-hour EMA 12 again. So now 4-hour EMA 12 is the guide, straight up. That's it. And I talked about this balance over here, and all these different stocks had this balance, from March 7th through whatever April 1st, where we were just going sideways. And how is price going to react when we get there? Are we going to reject it or what? And look what happened. If I turn on my drawings again, here was the high volume node that I had highlighted through all of that trading. Look what we did. So we tested it from below in the days leading up to the higher low here, and then we actually blasted through it in regular trading hours here on this candle, and then in after hours we shot through the rest, and then we balanced above it. We tested it in after hours on this day, and now we're pushing above it again. So that's how in control the bulls are here. Like they're not even going back to test this high volume range where there was so much volume traded. They blasted through it in the after hours, and so that's just super strong to me. And it has me, anytime we see an imbalance of strength with the bulls or strength with the bears, I have to start considering the other side. And so I'm very cautious. I'm very cautious going into this week. But the simple statement is, as long as the 4-hour trend is being held, then you have to be looking for trades with that trend. And so that's what I'm going to be watching for. I'm going to stay very zoomed out. I'm going to have all of my charts on a 30-minute chart so I can see this 4-hour trend and be watching it in real time. So again, quick summary of the charts. That April monthly candle close, and it's a crazy, crazy long wick, indicating that we could be, trying to V-shape right back to highs. I think many people on this move down were very, very concerned, and I read about people getting out of long-term positions and selling, thinking that we were not going to, we're going to head into recession, could be many years long. And now those people have been proven incorrect, at least in the short term. And you can imagine the mental anguish they're going through if they sold their positions lower than price is right now. And also we have these daily higher lows that we're so bullish that some of them aren't even technically daily higher lows. They're just like another test of a lower time frame, but we didn't get that higher high before. And so in my mind, bulls are a little bit out of control. And instead of climbing a wall of worry, we might be chasing a wall of FOMO. And so that's really what I'm thinking about the charts. We do have some events going on this week. So first of all, there is going to be continuing news coming out around tariffs. And Charting Man Dan from the Chart Guys had a really good point where he talked about how when we get actual resolutions to the tariffs and they start announcing, oh, we made this deal with this country and this deal with that country, those could be sell the news events. So that's something to be watching out for. We have FOMC happening this week, and FOMC is always a bit of a wild card. I do not like holding positions through FOMC personally, unless they're longer term swings. Who cares? If you've got a much lower cost basis, it doesn't really matter. But if you're in intraday swings like me and you're going just sort of week to week, that's something that I don't like to hold through unless I'm very far below for an average cost basis. Everybody says that it's very unlikely that they'll make any change to the interest rates. However, I know that when they start the Q&A and they start answering questions, there can be really strong market reactions to that. And my thought is that even a hint of dovishness, when we're in this market where the bulls are so bullish and the bears seem afraid to get involved, any hint of dovishness or talk of rate changes could really have a strong reaction to the upside. Of course, anything can happen, but that's my sense. And then earnings. So most of the big tech earnings are already out of the way. I think the only big one we really have left is NVIDIA, but there are some interesting ones happening this week. So PLTR, I kind of at this point wish that I had held my PLTR going into this coming week, but on Friday I covered my swing from that quote-unquote daily higher low because we have earnings after the close on Monday. And let me just show the chart really quick. So here's the PLTR daily chart down here and the 30-minute up here. As you can see, as of Friday at the close, we were just about to test the all-time high, and earnings is Monday. And so are we going to just power on through that? Maybe, I don't know. But this has been a hard run all the way up. We did break the stair step that one day, but then continued up with strength. Friday was a huge show of strength by the PLTR bulls. So I'm definitely watching. This is something I'm going to be watching on Friday. I will be trading it after hours for sure. So back to the calendar. That's the biggest one that I have the most interest in. There's SMCI and AMD, so some more semi stuff happening after the close on Tuesday. I want to watch those for sure. I have no, thoughts or hopes for what might happen on those trades, but they could affect semis overall, and I'd want to see that reaction. App, CVNA, and ARM on Wednesday after the close are a few to watch that I'm interested in, and then finally on Thursday after the close we got Coinbase and Mara, some crypto-related stuff that I'll be watching as well. And that's that. I don't think any of those are really going to be market movers, but things that I'm interested in watching. Okay, so wrapping things up, what's my confidence level going into this week? It's something that I do every day before I trade is I think about how much confidence do I have in a trade occurring today that I'm interested in? How much confidence do I have in a trade occurring today that would serve the weekly time frame, that we're going to get some kind of weekly higher low? How confident am I that things are going to rally hard fulfilling some move that I want to see happen on daily, weekly, or monthly time frame. And honestly, for this week with FOMC happening this week, the rally that we've already had, the strength we're showing, actually don't have high confidence at all. I tend to get more confident when we see really solid structure being built and I can get involved in that structure in a very clear and logical way. And I don't have that right now. I go into Monday feeling like I know that my intraday trading tends to be the place where I take the biggest losses. And so without having any swings that I'm interested in getting involved in right now, and without having any immediate things that look really solid to me, I'm just not in a rush to trade this week. I think I'm going to be on the 30-minute chart, watching the 4-hour EMA 12, seeing how price reacts. I'm not going to be chasing at the highs. So my simple statement this week is 4-hour EMA 12 is my guide. And unless we see a loss of that 4-hour EMA 12 on the names that I'm trading, then the bears aren't proving anything to me, and I got to just stick with that trend. So that's it for me. This has been the week ahead. I hope that you guys find this helpful. I'm trying my best to do this not just for anybody who's watching, but I do it for myself, so I can make sure I spend time thinking about the charts, thinking about what's happened, what I think might happen, what makes the most sense to happen, and that can help me day to day to understand what's going on. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like and subscribe. As you can see, I don't have a lot of subscribers right now. This is a thing I'm doing because I take this very seriously. It's how I want to make my living in the world of trading, and I very much appreciate your viewership, comments, questions, all that stuff. Good luck in the week ahead.